Gospel reading comes from John chapter 10. Very truly I tell you, anyone who does not enter the sheepfold by the gate, but climbs in by another way, is a thief and a bandit. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep hear his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought us out, all his own, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will not follow a stranger, but they will run from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. Jesus used this figure of speech with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So again, Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who came before me are thieves and bandits, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters by me will be saved and will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." Abundant life. Something different, something big. You ever wish you were somewhere else? Everybody's like, yeah, like right now. You ever wish you were someone else? Kind of like, for guys, it's like sometimes we might wish we were a cowboy. Out living out in the Old West, there is an outlaw, running from the law, out on the lam, doing whatever the heck we want, and just pulling our 6-shooter on anybody who crosses us. Or maybe as a pirate. That would be cool. Well, Steve Bonnet thought that was a cool idea. In 1717, at the ripe old age of 29, it's said that his nagging wife led him to do it. That's actually written in the history books. Because of a nagging wife and marital problems, or whatever the wording is that they used, he decided, as a rich young landowner, he inherited his father's estate of 400 acres in Barbados when he was only 6 years old. And he decided it was a good idea to leave his wife and his 3 kids and become a pirate. And so he commissioned the building of a 60-ton ship. He built the ship, and he set out on the seas. He was heading for the Caribbean, heading out to Nassau, where this cove of pirates where they like to hang out in that area. But see, he did things rather differently than most pirates. Most pirates would go and they would get their plunder, and they would kill whoever they need to, and they'd take the stuff and then they'd divvy it up among the shipmates, and that would keep them all wanting to work harder and wanting to get more plunder because they were all sharing in it. But for some reason, he got the bright idea that he was going to pay these guys. So he paid them wages, which obviously didn't encourage them very much to work too hard because they were getting paid anyway. And they called him the gentleman pirate because he would go and plunder these ships, but he wouldn't do anything to the people. He was, "Oh, sorry about that, let me get that for you. Sorry, I have to take your stuff. Okay, go on your way now." He was just too darn nice. And he didn't know anything about sailing. He had somebody else who was a captain and a first mate who took care of all of the sailing stuff, all the technicalities that he didn't know anything about. And so as they're sailing along, they came across somebody who they shouldn't have messed with, a ship from the Spanish Armada. And they tried to take it, but it went horribly wrong. They lost half of their crew, and Steve himself got injured. And so as they're going along, he comes across a man named Edward Keach, who says, "Hey, I'll, ironically, teach you how to sail. I'll help you out." Well, we might know Edward Keach better by the name Blackbeard. And so Blackbeard says, "Okay, I'm going to captain your ship. I'm going to take over your crew. You're going to just chill out and read your books." And it was said he would come out of his quarters in the mornings with a book, and people would be like, "This dude is not a pirate. What is this guy?" And so Blackbeard was showing him how to sail and taking care of everything for him, and eventually Steve realized that this life was not for him. And so he went to the Carolinas to seek pardon from the governor in that area of the colonies. And he got his pardon. He was told, leave the pirate's life, you can get hired as a merchant, you don't have to do this kind of thing anymore, and you're completely pardoned. Well, the thing was, he ended up getting a little ticked off. Funny thing, his ship was called Revenge. Sounds like a pretty intimidating name for such a meek person. But Blackbeard ended up taking his crew, all of his supplies, scuttled the ship, and hit the road for who knows where. And this ticked Steve off. This ticked him off. He's like, wait a minute. I trusted this guy. He said he was going to look after things for me, that he was going to train my crew, and then I come back and he's gone with all my stuff and my guys. Like, no. No, I'm really going to be a pirate. And so he did. He threatened to burn down cities. He was killing men. He was lashing his own men if they didn't stay in line and do what he said. He became pretty darn bitter. And he went chasing down Blackbeard. But he realized that if he went back to piracy, that he was going to lose his pardon and be in trouble, so he changed his name, and he changed the name of his ship. But the governor of South Carolina caught on to him, and when he ran aground in a river outside of Sullivan's Island, South Carolina, they captured him. He defended himself, but it was futile, and they hanged him in 1718, at 30 years old. Abundant life. He wanted this. He already had it. But he wanted something different. Wanted to get away from his wife and his kids and have a new life and find a new abundance. But that was not the way to do it. It didn't lead to anything but his downfall. I was listening to a TED Talk by, of all people, the Pope. I guess Ted had been going after the Pope for a long time to get him to do a TED Talk, and he finally conceded and did one. And as I was listening to him, he was talking about all of these yous. So there's one me, and there's a lot of yous. But when we practice tenderness and compassion, and all of you yous and the me come together, there becomes an us. And when an us is formed, a revolution is formed. And so he talks about abundant life through this, through everybody sharing in the abundance through that act of tenderness and love and kindness, where it's not one individual who takes everything, but there's sharing going on. And this is what we find in the Acts. Luke wrote in the book of Luke to his friend Theophilus, "My dear Theophilus, I've taken it upon me to write a record of the things that Jesus has done." Right? This was things that Jesus was doing. Even though all those times he told the apostles, he says, "How long must I be with you, you wicked generation? How long do I have to be here and do everything for you?" But then you come to the book of Acts, the actions of the apostles, and Luke starts it off by saying, "My dear Theophilus, I want to tell you about what the apostles did." This is when they're finally starting to get it, that they had to do something, and Jesus wasn't around to do everything for them anymore. And it said that they pulled their resources together. They acted with respect and concern for one another. They put everything together and said there should be nobody here who goes without because somebody else has too much. And in so doing, everybody was able to have abundant life. This ultimately was the definition of abundance. Not that any one individual would take everything or that anybody would have it great and somebody else would have none, but that in togetherness, in sharing, in those acts of love and kindness, that everybody would experience abundant life. And so Jesus leaves us hanging in this passage saying, "I have come that they might have life and have it in abundance." We see what that looks like in the works of the apostles, who finally, after Jesus going up and down their head so many times, finally figured it out. And finally started working together, doing the things that Jesus had taught them. finally showing that they even had a little bit of understanding, showing that they, like us, had realized that with all the individual me's in here, and all of the you's, and all of the you's outside of our doors in our community, when they come together and become an us, there's a revolution. And everybody has life in abundance.